Welcome back to the Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, and this is your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today, we are here live at the World Trade Center. We're going to be talking about everything that is terpenes. We are here with some awesome guests, and so let's just kind of get right into the bios here. First off is David Heldreth with True Terpene. Next up is Dr. Alison Draisin. She's representing Terpestival and CASP. And remotely, we have Kayla Hall with Cannabinder.
And also remotely is Hunter Holliman with Forefront Ventures.
And then we have Nicole Wicker of Altopa. Nicole is the CEO and founder of Altopa, maker of the Oblend. And we are at the World Trade Center. It's a little shout out to them. The World Trade Center grows trade and investment by providing direct access to the largest business network in the world with 300 offices in 99 countries. The World Trade Center Tacoma is the lone trade service for the Pacific Northwest. Their seminars, award ceremonies, and conferences can generate contacts and contracts. Trade research can clarify opportunities, and their matchmaking can turn those opportunities into trade. Personally, I get peace of mind with international purchase orders from bank guarantees and international letters of credit. I also like the e-commerce export store, which is partnered with Alibaba. It's translated to 18 languages and gives you an opportunity to put your products online and get them overseas to hard-to-reach places like Asia. Okay, the strain names are posing an issue on multiple levels. They have zero regulation and their properties will vary according to grow conditions. So this leaves consumers having to sort through hundreds of names without knowing its authenticity. And yet the term Sativa, Indica, hybrid are still used. Redefining and minimizing the use of Indica, Sativa, and hybrid terminology is a critical step towards moving towards a better, more consistent experience with cannabis. So how do you interpret terpene percentages so that it translates to the consumer? And is there a better, more accurate system than using Sativa versus Indica?
There is so much I could say on this. I got 6 minutes. All right. So, ultimately, I don't think that, for a while, at least when I think about THC, I've always felt like it should be a range on the packaging. We should have a range that this is, tested between, 15 and 22%, somewhere in that range. When it comes to terpenes, at the first store I worked at, I came across this for the first time where, my bud tenders were, seeing on the packaging, it was labeled 5% terps. And then they started selling that product by saying, oh, it's, really high in THC, but it also has 5% terps. It's going to get you lit. And I was just, again, someone coming from the California medical and then now being in that industry, I was just so confused by it. And then I didn't, at the time, didn't even know what terpenes were. But as I know better now, I realized by putting 5% terps on your packaging, that doesn't tell you anything. It's not going to, dictate what the effects are going to be like for the consumer. It's meaningless to me. So ultimately, I think that there's an importance of testing, not just for the sake of transparency, but for allowing the consumer to kind of begin this journey of being able to distinguish what they like and what they don't like, what works for them and what doesn't, based on a whole profile, a chemical profile. And, the way that we've done it is we've kind of created this visual guide called the Canna-Stamp. And what we're ending up doing here is taking this sort of icon and placing it on packaging. And this icon, again, is derived and produced from analytical data. So again, what's being tested is being represented in a factual way. It's no longer Sativa versus Indica, which has always been very subjective. We're basing our recommendations off of real science and what's really going on in that plant. And on top of that, when you think about strain names, and I even hate to say strain, it should be chemovar, but the names are not even really meaning anything anymore either. They're being crossed over so much now that how do I really know that Durban poison really came from that phenotype, from that seed? I don't. And so now, again, with what we've created, you have a way of seeing what's in that strain and being able to choose for yourself based on the experience that you have. And I'm hoping ultimately that if that customer has a really positive experience and they know that based on our icon, there was a lot of purple in the color here on this icon. So what does that purple mean? Well, that purple is myrcene. and it's found in really high amounts or I guess maybe let's say terpenylene, found in really high concentrations of Dutch treat. So now we've got an opportunity to then say, okay, we'll try this Bubba Kush because it looks like there's a fair amount of terpenylene in here as well, and you might like this. You might have a similar experience, a positive experience, something that works for you, as opposed to so much trial and error. And I think as somebody who is a purchaser and a manager, as a customer and in my two roles there, I saw it from both sides. There's just frustration for the bud tender not being able to adequately recommend products, and for the consumer to keep coming back and saying, well, man, that indica that was supposed to help me sleep really kept me up. I really want to change the narrative, and I think this is the way to do it, and we shouldn't be focused on the percentage, so to speak.
So for the third annual Terp Festival, we tested everything based on terpene percentages. And, the one who had the most limonene, won the highest limonene. So for the fourth year, we decided to change it around because we found that just because something has the highest limonene doesn't make it the best limonene. That doesn't mean that it was the most flavorful. It really is about the recipe of all the terpenes in that particular cultivar that work synonymously with each other. So we switched it up for the fourth Terp Festival to do floral, fruit, fuel, and earth, because those are like the four main categories of essences of terpenes. And so it groups the terpenes in such a way so that people can be able to, what was the best fruity, what was the best floral, what was the best earthy. And that seemed to work so much better for people's palates. They were much more receptive to it than what had the highest number as far as highest limonene, or highest terpenoline. And so that's just some food for thought to throw out there.
So I want to thank everybody for being here today, and appreciate you being on the podcast, The Talking Hedge. I'd like to thank my guest, Nicole. She's with the Oblend, or Altopa, maker of the Oblend. I'd like to thank Alison. She's representing CASP and the Terp Festival. I want to thank David. He is here with True Terpenes.
I also want to thank my guest, Hunter Holliman with Forefront Ventures.
And Kayla is here representing the Cannastamp and Cannabinder.
Thanks, Josh.
And we're going to wrap this up. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is a Talking Hedge, your cannabis business podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't. And I'm out.